As the prophet of esports, I rely on trustworthy and meaningful data every day. Data from our research partner, YouGov, offers the most complete view of esports fans and gamers in the world, providing context to who they are, what they think, the brands they buy, and things they do. YouGov's connected insights and research services inform strategy at every level. If you're a team, a brand, agency, or rights holder, you should be talking with YouGov. Their partners measure and maximize ROI and are telling compelling stories with data. Visit yougov.com/gaming-esports to learn more. This is Razer in the news, and the headline here, this is from Reuters. The headline is, Take Private Deal Could Value Razer at Up to $4.5 billion. So the rumor here is that there's a consortium led by top execs at Razer. They plan to value the business at $4.5 billion in a deal to take it private. Today, they are traded on the Hong Kong Stock Exchange. Obviously, this would probably be done in conjunction with a private equity group. In this case, they're talking about CVC Capital, which is a large private equity group. The chairman and the non-executive director of Razer have a combined stake of nearly 60% in the company. So all of this, the plan would be to take it private. And I thought it was interesting because a lot of the current trend is, taking gaming and esports companies public, accessing public capital, public markets. I'm curious what you guys think of Razer bucking the trend here potentially and going private again, going back to being private.
It's it. I mean, I guess just to get, sorry, I didn't read the whole article, but it does seem like maybe there's a little bit, it's a little bit more financial engineering than anything else here. Like, it seems like what they're talking about is it trades in Hong Kong right now and they're going to take it private and then pretty quickly list it in the US because there's maybe some multiple arbitrage, like US listings get better. This is actually something we've seen a lot. Like US listings just get better multiples. You have a larger investor base that can kind of invest in your company versus a Hong Kong or like a Chinese listed company. So there might be just some element of that. So I'm not sure in terms of, if we take that away from it, it is interesting. I mean, Razer's a hardware business, so maybe, they've sort of, the market is not giving them credit. They probably got a big bump during COVID, like a lot of the hardware businesses like Turtle Beach and Logitech and other ones and Corsair, and maybe the market's not giving them the multiple or the credit because they think a lot of sales have been pulled forward, and these executives and this PE firm has a belief that that's not the case. So they're kind of taking advantage of what is a low stock price to kind of take it private and then bring it back public once they've sort of proven that that's not the case. You do see that often with, it sounds like the management team is part of this buyout, so they would be sticking around and being involved.
I mean, do you not see it as a very positive sign for the business, though, in the sense that obviously they believe the business is worth more than $4.5 billion, right? And I don't know what all of your feelings are on that, right? There's a clear sort of viewpoint here that their business is worth more than $4.5 billion, if that's the plan, right? To go private and then relist in the US. And second of all, there's a question of like, clearly the management's bullish on the business, right? Like obviously, or they wouldn't be going through this exercise. What does that say about sort of Razer's potential and future? Have they been undervalued here? Lindsay, I don't know if you have thoughts on that.
Yeah, I keep thinking about Jeff's point about the pandemic numbers too, and I'm wondering what their internal thoughts are on if these numbers are truly a surge because people were stuck inside, or if they're seeing all the same trends that we're seeing in terms of gaming becoming more entertainment and people buying PCs and graphics cards selling out in 1 second. So I'm curious. I would wonder. I bet their internal numbers are showing some sort of trend that indicates that hardware and endemics are going to be really, really important to the market even after we sort of rebound from COVID. And I'm wondering what those trends look like.
I mean, is no one worried that like Corsair, which has a market cap today of like a little over 2 billion. That in that context, maybe Razer is being too optimistic here.
Not just Corsair, right? If you look at the last 6 months for Logitech, both of them on the decline pretty steadily. I was thinking that as well, Paul. I think as opposed to Razer saying, hey, maybe we're at the Corsair level, maybe they value what they're doing that much greater than Corsair, and they see that opportunity of comparing themselves to Corsair, Logitech, seeing blood in the water, so to speak, and an opportunity for them to come in and disrupt. I'm not sure. I would pitch that back to you business school kids.
Well, Razer is, just as another point, Razer is definitely one of the kind of maverick type businesses too. I mean, they're the ones who are kind of always throwing stuff out there, and gaming gloves and caffeine gum, and they seem like they're always looking. They're willing to take on a little bit more risk. So I don't know if that's part of this either.
Jeff, does Razer have meme stock potential?
I don't think. I mean, who knows? Anything is possible. But if it, I guess that would be one reason maybe to come list in the U.S. But I don't think so. I think this is a private equity firm taking a view that, and I think Lindsay is probably accurate in terms of what management and this PE firm are seeing in terms of the data, and at least the thesis is that the market is basically looking at this as this cyclical hardware company, and you pulled forward a lot of demand, and kind of the best times are now behind you, and they're probably making a bet / seeing data, or just they have the view of, no, this is a secular trend, and people are playing more games, and we're selling more headsets or mice and whatnot, and keyboards. So they want to own the business, take it private, and then take it back public at a higher valuation. So I think it's as simple as that. Whether they're right or wrong, we'll end up seeing. But I think that's the bet that they're making.
Yeah, I mean, it'll be interesting to see. And timing is always sort of somewhat the key with these things, right? Like if it takes 12 months for this to happen, will they lose out on the hype cycle, or, it's impossible to predict how timing will play into this. But I definitely think it's interesting, and it's clear that the executives at Razer have a ton of confidence in the business, which, we've said many times before, and I think we've all agreed that the hardware business in gaming right now is probably a pretty good place to be, in Razer's one of those better names in the space.